So, the another benefit of economic growth is government revenue. Economic growth boosts government revenue through various channels, such as higher tax revenues. Increased economic activity leads to higher corporate profits, personal incomes, and consumer spending, all of which contribute to higher tax revenues. Government can collect more taxes without raising tax rates, providing them with more funds to invest in public services and infrastructure. So, with higher revenues, government can improve and expand public services such as healthcare, education, and social welfare. They can also invest in infrastructures, projects like roads, bridges, public transportation, which further stimulate economic growth and improve living standards. So, we are moving toward the next benefit of economic growth, which is reduction in poverty. So, sustained economic growth can significantly reduce poverty level. Now we will discuss that how economic growth can reduce poverty level. As we have discussed earlier, that economic growth creates more jobs. And by creating more job opportunities, which means allowing more people to earn a steady income. And employment is one of the most effective ways to lift individuals and families out of poverty. So, by having steady income or as the economy grows, wages and salaries tend to rise, increasing household income. Higher incomes enable individuals to afford better living conditions, access to education and healthcare, reducing poverty. Economic growth can also enhance social mobility by providing opportunities for people to improve their economic status through education, skill development, and employment. The another benefit we will discuss here of economic growth is investment and development. As the economy grows, it attracts investment because of the growing purchasing power of individuals, which further stimulates development and innovation. A thriving economy provides a favorable environment for domestic investors. Businesses reinvest their profits into expanding operations, adopting new technologies, and improving productivity, driving further economic growth. Economic stability and growth attract foreign direct investment. Multinational companies invest in growing economy to capitalize on new markets, bringing in capital, technology, and expertise. This investment leads to the creation of new industries, jobs, and economic opportunities. So, with the growing economy and the increasing investment, both the domestic and foreign, often new technologies and innovations are being invested in the economy. These advancements improve productivity and efficiency, driving further economic growth and development. So, after discussing the numerous benefits of economic growth, we can say that economic growth leads to improved living standard, increased employment opportunities, rising stock prices, higher government revenue, reduction in poverty, a greater investment and higher development, the bringing of new innovation, the technological advancement. These benefits create a positive cycle where growth fosters further growth, enhancing the overall well being and prosperity of a society. Now, we will move towards the challenges and limitations of economic growth. Economic growth is often seen as a positive indicator of a country's development and prosperity. However, it comes with several challenges and limitations that need to be addressed to ensure sustainable and inclusive progress. Here are some of the key challenges and limitations of economic growth. The first challenge we will discuss here is income inequality. Economic growth does not automatically translate to equitable distribution of wealth. Often, the benefits of growth are disproportionately enjoyed by certain segment of society, leading to increased income inequality. This can result in social stratification, where the rich get richer and the poor get poor, exacerbating social tensions and reducing social mobility. Policies aimed at redistributing wealth, such as progressive taxation and social welfare programs, are essential to mitigate this issue and ensure that economic growth benefits everyone. Now we will discuss about the second challenge, which is environmental degradation. Rapid economic growth must have severe environmental consequences if not managed sustainably. Industrialization, urbanization, and increased consumption often lead to pollution, resource depletion, and loss of biodiversity. For example, manufacturing industries may emit pollutants into the air and water, contributing to climate change and health problems. Deforestation for agriculture or urban development can lead to habitat loss and decrease in biodiversity. Sustainable practices such as using renewable energy sources and stringent environmental regulations are crucial to balance economic growth with environmental protection. So now we will move toward to discuss about the next challenge, which is over reliance on specific sectors. Economies that heavily rely on specific sectors, such as natural resources, for example, oil, minerals, natural gases, are vulnerable to global price fluctuations and demand shocks. For example, a drop in oil prices can significantly impact oil dependent economies, leading to budget deficits and economic instability. Diversifying the economy by developing other sectors like manufacturing, technology, and services can reduce this vulnerability and create a more resilient economic structure. So now we will discuss about the inflation. Inflation is a major challenge and limitation for economic growth. While moderate inflation is a natural part of economic growth, excessively rapid growth can lead to high inflation. This erodes the purchasing power of money, making goods and services more expensive for consumers. Inflation can also create uncertainty in the economy, deterring investment and savings. Central banks often use monetary policies such as adjusting interest rates to control inflation and maintain economic stability. However, balancing growth and inflation requires careful management to avoid economic overheating. The next challenge for economic growth is social and cultural impact. Rapid economic growth and urbanization can disrupt traditional lifestyles and cultural heritage. The migration of people from rural to urban areas in search of better opportunities can lead to the depopulation of rural areas, loss of traditional practices, and cultural homogenization. Urbanization can also strain infrastructure and social services, leading to overcrowding, inadequate housing, and social tensions. Preserving cultural heritage and promoting inclusive urban planning are essential to address these challenges and ensure that growth does not come at the expense of cultural diversity and social cohesion. So, after looking at all the benefits of economic growth, we can conclude while economic growth is a vital for development, it is essential to address these challenges and limitations through inclusive, sustainable, and well planned policies. While doing so, countries can ensure that the benefits of growth are widely shared, environmental, sustainable, and socially inclusive. Hence, we can say that economic growth is a multifaceted phenomenon influenced by various factors, including human and physical capital, technological advancement, and institutional frameworks. While it brings numerous benefits such as improved living standards, job creation, and poverty reduction, it also poses challenges like income inequality, environmental degradation, and social impacts. Sustainable and inclusive growth strategies are essential to maximize benefits while minimizing adverse effects, ensuring long term prosperity and well being for all members of society. Now we will move toward our next topic, which is monetary standard. Monetary standard refers to the system, set of institutions and guidelines that govern the issuance, regulations, and value of a nation's currency. It encompasses the rules and frameworks that determine how money is created, distributed, and maintained to ensure stability and trust in the financial system. We will discuss it in depth with the help of a case study of the Federal Reserve System regarding the monetary standard. So, the Federal Reserve System, often referred to as the Fed, is the central banking system of the United States, established in 1913 by the Federal Reserve Act. The Fed is a prime example of a monetary standard in action. It is designed to provide the nation with a safe, flexible, and stable monetary and financial system. Now we will discuss about its key components. The first is the central bank role. Central banks have first the Federal Reserve Bank. The Fed consists of 12 regional Federal Reserve banks located in major cities across the United States. These banks operate independently but under the supervision of the Federal Reserve Board of Governors. Now, the central bank have board of governors. of Governors is a federal agency located in Washington, D.C. It oversees the Federal Reserve System, plays a crucial role in determining national monetary policy. Here we come to the monetary policy of the Fed. The first point in monetary policy is interest rates. The Federal Open Market Committee, which is also known as FOMC, meets regularly to set the federal funds rate, which influences interest rates across the economy. By raising or lowering this rate, the Fed can control economic activity and inflation. The second is open market operations. The Fed buys and sells US Treasury securities in the open market to regulate the money supply. Purchasing securities injects money into the economy, while selling securities withdraws money from circulation. The third component of the Federal Reserve System is its regulation and supervision. First, we will discuss about the bank supervision. The Fed supervises and regulates banks to ensure they operate safely and soundly, protecting the credit rights of consumers. This includes conducting stress tests to evaluate banks' resilience to economic shocks. The Fed enforces laws and regulations designed to protect consumers in financial transactions, such as the Truth in Lending Act and the Equal Credit Opportunity Act. The fourth component of Federal Reserve System is financial stability. The Fed acts as a lender of last resort to provide liquidity to banks during times of financial distress, helping to prevent bank runs and maintain stability in the financial system. During financial crisis, the Fed can implement extraordinary measures such as quantitative easing to stabilize the economy. For example, during the 2008 financial crisis, the Fed purchased large quantities of mortgage backed securities and other assets to support the financial system. The fifth component of Federal Reserve System is currency issuance. The Fed is responsible for issuing Federal Reserve notes, which are physical currencies. And in case of USA, United States of America, it's US dollars in circulation. It ensures that there is sufficient currency available to meet public demand. So, this case study tells about the Federal Reserve System of United States of America. their monetary policies, the regulating guidelines, and the money availability in the market. Can you compare the Federal Reserve System in terms of India? Like if in United States of America there is a Federal Reserve System, what do you think in India it is? Let's have a guess about this. So, in India, we have the Reserve Bank of India control and manage the money availability and also regulate the banking institutions working in the country. Now we will see some examples and historical context of monetary standard. First example we will take here of Great Depression. The Great Depression of the 1930s. We are talking here or we are discussing here about all these with respect to the Federal Reserve System. In 1930s, the Fed's monetary policy decisions such as maintaining high interest rates were widely criticized for exacerbating the economic downturn. The period highlighted the importance of flexible and responsive monetary policy. Then here we come with 1980s inflation. In the late 1970s and early 90s, the United States experienced high inflation. The Fed, under Chairman Paul Volcker, significantly raised interest rate to curb inflation, demonstrating the Fed's role in maintaining price stability. Then, the 2008 financial crisis. The Fed's response to the 2008 financial crisis included cutting interest rates to near zero and implementing quantitative easing to inject liquidity into the economy. These actions help stabilize financial markets and promote economic recovery. So here we come with the latest COVID-19 pandemic. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the Fed again used its monetary policy tool to support the economy. This included lowering interest rates, purchasing government and mortgage backed securities, and providing emergency fund lending facilities to support businesses and financial institutions. The Federal Reserve System exemplifies a comprehensive monetary standard incorporating a central bank, regulatory framework, and a set of monetary policy tools to manage the nation's money supply, regulate financial institutions, and maintain economic stability of a country. Through its actions in various historical contexts, the Fed demonstrated how a well functioning monetary standard can support economic growth, ensure financial stability, and protect consumer interests. So it's all about the Federal Reserve System of United States of America. So like this case study we have discussed here regarding the monetary standards of United States of America. After the end of this blog, we will prepare a case study regarding in the context of Indian monetary standard, where the Federal Reserve System will be replaced by the Reserve Bank of India. So, in the last of this blog, we will prepare a case study on the Indian monetary standard. Now, we are moving forward with our topic, which is key components of monetary standard. First is legal framework. So, legal framework includes central bank monetary policy. First, central bank. Central bank plays a pivotal role in the monetary standard, acting as the primary institution responsible for the issuance and regulation of currency. For example, the Federal Reserve System in United States and the European Central Bank in the Eurozone and the Reserve Bank of India in India. Here we come with monetary policies. Central banks implement monetary policy to manage economic stability. This includes controlling interest rates, regulating the money supply, and using tools like open market operations, discount rates, and reserve requirements. The second component of the monetary standard is currency system. In currency system, we will discuss about the fiat money and the commodity money. So in terms of fiat money, the most modern economies operate on a fiat money system where currency is not backed by a physical commodity like gold or silver, but rather by the government that issues it. The value of fiat money is derived from the trust and confidence of the people who use it. Here we come with commodity money. Historically, currencies were often backed by commodities. Example, gold standard. Under a commodity money system, the value of currency is directly linked to a specific amount of physical commodity, providing intrinsic value. The third component of monetary standard is regulatory bodies. We will discuss about the financial regulators and international organizations in regulatory bodies. So, financial regulators. What are financial regulators? Institutions such as the Securities and Exchange Commissions, which is also termed as SEC in the United States, oversee the financial markets, ensuring that they operate fairly and efficiently. These bodies help maintain confidence in the financial system. Now we will discuss about the international organizations. So bodies like the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank provide guidelines and support to ensure global financial stability. These bodies play crucial role in managing exchange rates and providing financial assistance to countries in the time of needs or during economic disasters. Now, the next component is monetary policy tools. In monetary policy tools, we will discuss about the interest rates, open market operations, and reserve requirements. So first, we will discuss about the interest rates. Central banks manipulate interest rates to influence economic activity. Lower interest rate encourage borrowing and spending, while higher rates can help curb inflation. Now we will discuss about the open market operations. Buying and selling government securities in the open market to regulate the money supply. For example, selling securities can reduce the money supply to helping control the inflation. The last is reserve requirement. Regulations on the minimum amount of reserve that banks must hold against deposits. Altering reserve requirements can impact the money supply and lending capacity of banks. Here we come with the fifth component of monetary standards, which is exchange rate system. In exchange rate systems, we will discuss about fixed exchange rate and floating exchange rate. So, a fixed exchange rate is a system where the value of a currency is pegged to another currency or a basket of currencies. This can provide stability in international trade but limits monetary policies flexibility. Now, here we come with floating exchange rate, a system where the value of the currency is determined by market forces. This allows more flexibility in monetary policy but can result in higher volatility in exchange rates. Now we will move forward toward the next topic, which is importance of monetary standard. Why monetary standard is important for an economy? So first of all, it is very crucial for maintaining economic stability. Now we will discuss how it helps to stabilize economy. Number one is by controlling inflation. Inflation erodes purchasing power of money, leading to higher prices for goods and services. A stable monetary standard helps central banks to control inflation by adjusting interest rates and regulating the money supply. This ensures that inflation remains within a target range, avoiding the extremes of hyperinflation or deflation. The next is by managing unemployment, by influencing economic activities through monetary policy. Central banks can help manage unemployment levels. For instance, lowering interest rate can stimulate borrowing and investment, leading to job creation. Conversely, raising rates can cool down an overheated economy and prevent inflation from spiraling out of control. The third is smoothing out business cycles. Business cycles are the natural fluctuations in economic activity over time, characterized by periods of expansion and contraction. A sound monetary standard helps to moderate these cycles, preventing severe recessions or boom. This is achieved through counter-cyclical policies and support the economy during downturns and restrain it during upswing. So, we are moving toward the next importance of monetary standard, which is trust and confidence. The integrity of a monetary standard is fundamental to the trust and confidence in a currency. Now we will discuss why monetary standard matters for trust and confidence in currency. So the first is foundation of financial transaction. Trust in the value and stability of money is essential for all financial transactions. Without this trust, people would be reluctant to engage in trade, invest, or save, leading to economic stagnation. The other point is public confidence. A credible and transparent monetary policy foster public confidence in the currency and the economy as well. The confidence is crucial for the effective functioning of financial markets and institutions, as it ensures that people have faith in the stability and value of their money. Now, the third importance of monetary standard is facilitating trade. A stable and reliable monetary system plays a vital role in facilitating both domestic and international trade because of its consistent wealth. A stable monetary standard ensures that the value of money remains relatively consistent over time. This predictability is essential for businesses and consumers when planning and executing transactions, and because of reducing currency fluctuations. In international trade, currency fluctuations can pose significant risk as they can affect the value of transactions and profits. A stable monetary standard reduces these risks, making trade more secure and predictable. This encourages businesses to engage in cross border trade, leading to increased economic activity and growth. Here we come with the fourth importance of monetary standard, which is crisis management. So, a robust monetary framework is essential for effective crisis management. Now, we will have a look on how it supports the economy during financial shocks. So, the first is through emergency measures. During financial crisis, central banks can implement emergency measures such as quantitative easing or liquidity support. Quantitative easing involves purchasing financial assets to inject money into the economy, lowering interest rates, and encouraging lending and investment. In times of economic downturn, central banks can provide liquidity support to banks and financial institutions, ensuring they have sufficient funds to operate and lend. This helps to stabilize the financial system and prevent a complete collapse. So, a well-functioning monetary system help prevent panic during crisis. When people trust that the central bank has the tools and willingness to manage the situation, they are less likely to engage in behaviors that can exacerbate the crisis, such as bank runs or hoarding money. So, after discussing the importance of monetary standard, it is to say that a well regulated monetary standard is critical for maintaining economic stability, instilling trust and confidence in the currency, facilitating trade, and managing financial crises. Its importance cannot be overstated as it underpins the smooth functioning of the entire economy. Now, we will move toward the next topic, which is the purpose of monetary standard. A monetary standard serves several critical purposes in an economy. It limits money production and supply, indirectly regulates economic prices, and influences the rate of economic growth and expansion. Now we will discuss in details about these three purposes of monetary standard. The first is limiting money production and supply. It means the regulation of the amount of money that is created and circulated within an economy. So, how it limits the money production and supply? The first one is through central bank policies. Central banks control the money supply through monetary policy tools such as open market operations, discount rates, and reserve requirements. By buying or selling government securities, adjusting interest rates, or changing reserve requirements, central banks can influence the amount of money available in the economy. The next mechanism is a fiat money system. In fiat money system, the currency is not backed by a physical commodity but by the government. The system allows central banks more flexibility in controlling the money supply as they are not constrained by the availability of a commodity like gold or silver. So, the limit of money production and supply served a purpose of preventing hyperinflation and ensuring stability. So, by limiting money supply, central banks can prevent excessive inflation where too much money chases too few goods, leading to a rapid increase in prices. A controlled money supply helps in maintaining economic stability and avoiding the boom bust cycles that can occur with uncontrolled money printing. So, here we are with our second purpose, which is indirectly regulating economic prices. It means the influence of monetary policy on the general price level of goods and services in the economy. How it indirectly regulates economic prices. Let's have a discussion regarding the mechanism of this. The first is inflation targeting. Central banks often use inflation targeting as a strategy to keep inflation within a desired range. By adjusting interest rates and controlling the money supply, they can influence inflation rate. By raising or lowering interest rate, central banks can directly affect borrowing and spending. High interest rate generally reduce spending and borrowing, leading to lower inflation. Conversely, lower interest rates can stimulate spending and borrowing, potentially increasing inflation. So, the indirect regulating economic policy can serve the purpose of price stability and purchasing power, as maintaining stable prices is crucial for economic productivity, allowing businesses and consumers to make informed decisions without the fear of volatile price changes. Controlling inflation helps preserve the purchasing power of money, ensuring that consumers and businesses can maintain their standard of living and operational cost without drastic fluctuations. Here we are moving toward the next purpose, which is influencing economic growth and expansion rate. The role of monetary policy in promoting sustainable economic growth we will discuss here with the help of mechanisms which include monetary stimulus and monetary contraction. So, with respect to monetary stimulus, in times of economic downturn, central banks can inject liquidity into the economy through measures like lowering interest rates or quantitative easing, encouraging investment and consumption to spur growth. In terms of monetary contraction, conversely, to prevent an overheating economy, central banks can tighten monetary policy by raising interest rates or selling government security, thus reducing the monetary supply and cooling down economic activity. It also stimulates growth as during recessions or periods of slow growth, an expansionary monetary policy can help revive economic activity by making borrowing cheaper and encouraging spending and investment. Ensuring that economic growth is not too rapid is crucial for long term stability. Controlled growth prevents the formation of bubbles and reduces the risk of subsequent economic crashes. So, after discussing the purpose of monetary standard, this is to say that the monetary standard is vital in managing an economy's money supply, price levels, and growth rate. By carefully controlling the production and supply of money, central banks can prevent hyperinflation, ensure price stability, and influence economic growth and expansion.